So, Ravens flock, we are more or less a week away from the season starting. I'm gearing up for what I hope is an exciting season. And there's some updates I wanted to get into this weekend that I didn't get a chance to talk about earlier in this week. Main thing being the 53-man roster was announced. And like many of us expected, we always bring in at least one undrafted free agent, so that's not a surprise. But the fact that they brought in three undrafted free agents was not only surprising but exciting, because these guys, in my opinion, they definitely deserved it. Jay Higgins the fourth, Ruben Laurie, Keon Martin, these guys balled out during the preseason. They showed flashes. It's very exciting to think that we have an insane amount of depth when it comes to our DBs. And I'm interested to see, could Jay Higgins threaten Trenton Simpson and Teddy Buchanan and anybody else they may bring in for that starting linebacker position. Not saying he will be, most likely he won't, but still, at the very least, these guys obviously worked extremely hard to get this opportunity to defy these odds. So it's nice to see them get that moment in that video that the Ravens posted, to feel like all their hard work was validated. But the downside to cutting down to the 53-man roster is there's certain players that surprisingly ended up not making a roster. Most notably, Jalen Armour Davis. He ended up getting cut. On one hand, I'm not surprised, because earlier in the offseason, I said that I thought Jalen Armour Davis wasn't going to make it. However, that was before the rookies Bilal Cone and Robert Longerbeam got injured. And it was also before the preseason started, because during the preseason, JAD was balling out at certain points. He was flashing. He was looking like he was too good to be playing in the preseason games with second and third stringers. Like, so at once our rookies got injured, our drafted rookies got injured, and JAD was balling out, thought maybe I was just going to be proven wrong and they were just going to keep JAD, but ultimately they decided to let him go, which it still makes sense why they did, because even though the two rookies that they did draft unfortunately got injured and are out for the season, there's a couple of undrafted guys who are DBs in Ruben Laurie and Keon Martin, who they were really just as impressive as JAD, if we're being honest. And of course, they're rookies, so they're on cheaper deals, and you have time to reset the clock. Essentially, you don't got to worry about, because I can't remember how many years it's been, but I'm pretty sure this is like what, year 4 for JAD. So now you would also be talking about a contract coming up. The Ravens are obviously not going to want to pay him, because when you have a guy this injury prone, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to shell out that type of money, especially when at best he's like what, our 5th best DB, maybe 4th or whatever. So I understand the Ravens decision. It's, sad to see players get cut, but ultimately I think if he hasn't already, I didn't check, but if he hasn't, I'm sure another team's gonna scoop him up, so it really doesn't matter that much. Other big news that came out, Kyle Hamilton, the stud safety, Kyle Hamilton, one of the faces of the team right now. He signed a record-breaking contract, 4 years, $100 million, $82 million guaranteed. So that's almost double what the previous record was for a guaranteed money for a safety. And on top of that, it makes him by far the highest paid safety. Or, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he definitely is the highest paid safety in football. And I can't be too mad at it. In my opinion, Kyle Hamilton is the best safety in football. Some people may disagree. You may think maybe he's top 2 or top 3, but at the bare minimum, he's in like that top 3 conversation. He's one of the most important pieces of our defense. He's one of the most versatile players in the entire NFL. So I'm not super surprised that the Ravens were trying to get this contract done with him as soon as possible. But at the same time, I was a bit surprised that they secured a deal with him first before Tyler Linderbaum. And the main reason I say that is because I'm assuming Tyler Linderbaum's contract is not going to be nearly as big. So you would think that somebody who's going to make less money, they could get that contract worked out quicker. Because, like, how much is Tyler Linderbaum realistically gonna make as a center? Like, I don't know, 18 to 20 million a year. Like, you would assume that that would be a deal that they could work out quicker, but either way, just because they paid Kyle, that doesn't mean that Tyler can't get paid as well. We'll see how that goes, because we still got Isaiah Likely. Despite him being injured, we all know that we need to keep Isaiah Likely, and we need to pay Tyler Linderbaum. Zay Flowers' contract is gonna be coming up soon. So I'm interested to see how the Ravens handle trying to balance all these players out. It's very clear that one of the places that they're gonna try to go cheap is the offensive line. That's why you see they bring in guys like Nick Samack and Emory Jones, who were drafted and are already injured, but they essentially are just stashing them for further down the line. Same thing with Carson Vincent. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. You look at teams like the Eagles, that's low key what they do as well. They'll have several key players who are all making big money, and then they'll cycle in a bunch of young guys who they believe they could develop. And to the Eagles' credit, they've developed a lot of really good players, especially on their offensive line. Hopefully the Ravens could do the same thing, but we'll see how that goes. Let me know. Were you excited that Kyle Hamilton got this big contract? Do you think Kyle Hamilton deserved this big contract? And then also, were you excited about the rookies, especially the undrafted free agent rookies that made the 53-man roster?